downtown's already a very vibrant place, but what you do in bringing Union Station back to life is really giving it back its heart.
This is the new symbol for transportation and connecting people and our economic vitality within Colorado.
It's a great story, and great story of what we all did together.
When I see Union Station, I see the soul of a city. During its heyday, this place had 80 trains a day going through here. It said, welcome, welcome to Denver, and this place had the power to change lives.
If you look back 100 years ago, train activity at Union Station is what really made Denver what it is today.
Union Station is the symbol of a city, progressive, dynamic, welcoming. But imagine this place as a shopping center or a convention center. Those were some of the ideas that came up when rail traffic was in decline. Or I could even be standing underwater here in Lake Denver. That was one of the plans. Fortunately, urban planners had a better idea for Union Station.
It was the perfect location for the intermodal hub, for light rail, commuter rail, buses. There was no place else in the region where it would work. And it was actually being talked about to be purchased by a private sector group, and if they had developed it, it would have been lost as a transportation terminal altogether. So it became a real sense of urgency to get control so we could use it for its intended purpose, which was a transit center.
Fast Tracks is delivering 6 rail corridors, 122 miles of commuter and light rail, nearly 20 miles of bus rapid transit, lots of new parking, 57 new stations that have transit-oriented communities all around it.
It is the hub for Fast Tracks. Denver Union Station is that integral key piece of Fast Tracks. Every line that we have for Fast Tracks is going to go through Denver Union Station.
Historic buildings are always at their best if they're being used for their original function, right? When you have a historic building and bring it back to its original function, it's all the sweeter.
When we began, we really sat around a room and asked ourselves whether we had a project. And you can imagine with a committee of 99 people from all kinds of jurisdictions, from Pueblo to Colorado Springs to the mountain towns. It was really a broad swath of people that looked at what the ideas should be. Eventually, someone comes forward and says, now I've heard all the ideas, we need to put this down, we need to put this together in a master plan.
To make the project work financially, the real estate needs to be viable, the development opportunities need to be viable. By taking the infrastructure and weaving it through the neighborhood, we've created opportunities for new retail development as the community develops, and that generates tax revenue, and it's what drives everything.
We really believe that this plan would activate more of the neighborhood and extend the amenity through more of the real estate. And the real estate taxes generated by the development around the project were in fact one of the principal mechanisms through which the project was funded.
Well, I think this funding plan is very, very unique. The TIFIA loan and the RIF loan, those two are, as far as I know, the only project in the country where we used or combined those two loan products. And this three-legged financing stool, the private sector, federal assistance, and of course local sales tax revenue in our case, this three-legged financing stool is so huge. I believe this is the way mega projects will be built in this country from here on out.
DUSPA was created by the Denver City Council. We were the engine, to make the project become a reality, and we had to be all in, whether it was reorganizing the budget, hiring our project manager. I mean, every mountain became a hurdle that we went through, one after another and after another. And we just started gaining momentum, and that synergy between all the partners, both from the private and public sector, is what really kept us going.
As we advanced in our progress of the transit facilities, the developers came on board, not just one, but I think we were up to about 15 in the general facility, and all of the developers that had to work together. It took a lot of coordination, and each individual development had their own schedule, so we tried to make all the schedules work.
Originally, we broke the scope down into 5 discernible elements: light rail station, underground bus terminal, commuter rail terminal, all of the streets, and then the separate last piece was for the plaza improvements. When you try and build a job this big in a time frame we were given, you have to be able to slide people in and out of roles. Some people that were working as part of the plaza projects began to work as part of the bus terminal projects, and at the end of the day, that flexibility helped us finish the job on time.
When people think of Union Station, they think of trains, and that's been the history of this place. But it turns out that you can teach an old station new tricks. This is the new bus concourse at Union Station. There are 22 gates designed for easy connections to light rail, commuter rail, Amtrak, all in the same building.
The great thing about Denver Union Station is that it provides a link for all sorts of transit forms, whether it's commuter rail or light rail or buses. We'll be able to use Denver Union Station on into the future. It's going to be flexible enough to transform itself over the decades as technology changes with transportation.
Denver Union Station truly is a regional transportation hub, and people will have access to places and jobs and opportunities, homes that they've never had access to without Denver Union Station.
I think people that are visiting Denver are going to have an opportunity to walk off their plane, walk onto a train, and then walk into their hotel room. As we were looking at positioning the hotel and designing the hotel, how it was going to look and feel, we did a lot of work around the history of the building, around the history of train travel in Colorado, and so there are some of those influences in the building, and also looking at today's traveler and really approaching it from the perspective of what the needs of our travelers are today. So kind of blending some touches of the past with a look to the future. And there's some incredible historic fabric that's still left in the building, and that will be featured, and people are going to be able to really enjoy that.
It's a beautiful facility. This is great.
I think it's going to transform Denver quite significantly. And in fact, it's going to be the place you want to go to just to hang out in the community. This will be the first place people come to become acquainted with our community. And it'll be the last place they leave as they exit our community. So this is our shot to show them who we are.
We are changing the look of this city right now. The development that's going on around Denver Union Station is really unprecedented. This is going to be the greatest city in the West, and it's really being spurred on by transportation investment and the progressive minds of so many people here in the region.
We will compete as a region, not as individual cities. We don't compete against one another, we compete against the rest of the world. And that really has set the stage for bringing down those imaginary boundaries that separate us, having us talk about the region as an asset and how we as a region will compete in the global marketplace.
I think it's very important for us as a region to have a place where all transportation comes in. Companies want to be able to get their employees into downtown, and if they can just get into downtown and walk a couple hundred yards to work, that's a huge advantage. That incredible ability to draw employees and investment is another part of creating a very, very vibrant region. And this will pay back year after year after year for another 100 years. Probably the smartest investment we could have made beyond building fast tracks was to create this incredible station area as a center of economic activity.
I think that we're a model for other municipalities, for other states and cities to want to replicate. It's been a phenomenal example of regional partnership. You know, that's how we roll in Denver. You know, we know that if we don't do things together, have a common vision, and do things together, even though we kind of fuss and go this way and that way, but we're always mindful of, we have to get this financed. You know, we need to do this, and we need to do this, and we need to do this. So, you know, okay, let's get back on track and do it. I think that's what's so amazing about what Denver does best, is collaboration.
When you think of all the people who have passed through Union Station since 1881, that's a lot of history. Of course, transportation has changed since then, from horse-drawn streetcars to electric railways to buses to light rail. And through it all, here sat Union Station, a grand old landmark awaiting a new vision.
It was clear that the station was very important to the citizens of Denver.
This was true collaboration at its finest that will benefit the public for future generations.
Union Station gives us a second chance to really contribute to the heart and soul and the vitality and the sustainability of our great city.
You know, the different communities, and if they're all willing to work together, right, and create something like Fast Tracks, businesses, when they're looking where to go, they go, wow, I don't see that anywhere else in the United States.